Okay guys, so day 2 on exponential functions, and this is where we're going to be for the next few days, is writing a rule. So if you look at this gray box here, this is the basic form of an exponential function. So you have f of x, or even it could be y, equals a times b to the x. So remember, what makes the function exponential is having x in the exponent. Okay, and then if you look at my little arrows here, so the initial value is a. Another word that we're used to using for the initial value is the y-intercept. So a is represented by the y-intercept, and b represents the base, or the growth factor, or that common multiplier or common ratio. So as we write these equations, your homework tonight, the first night, is going to be just like kind of filling in the blanks. Your homework tomorrow night, you're just going to have a table and you're going to have to write the rule on your own. So let's take a look at some examples that build up to us actually writing the rule, okay? So looking at our first example, let's go back here. We have a table. The first thing that you should be doing when you have a table is you should be saying to yourself, do I see my y-intercept? Do I see my, and I'm going to write this up here, y equals a times b to the x. A is your y-intercept. B is your multiplier, or your ratio, okay? So I'm looking at my table to see if I have my y-intercept. So do I have my y-intercept? Yes, I do. My y-intercept occurs where x is equal to 0, so my y-intercept is 6. The next thing I want to do is I want to look for my multiplier. My multiplier is b. So what is happening? What am I multiplying by between each one of these terms? What did I multiply 6 by to get 12? Well, I multiplied by 2. And 12 times 2 is 24. And 24 times 2 is 48, and so on. So my multiplier, or my b value, is 2. And you can see that I've given you some of the equation. So I already have the b value filled in, but I want you to understand where it comes from. It comes from the continuous multiplication of 2. And then we just have to insert our a value in the right spot, okay? Let's take a look at another one. So again, y equals a times b to the x, where a is your y-intercept and b is your multiplier, or your ratio, or your growth factor, or your base. Okay, so looking for a, is my y-intercept in the table? Yes, it is. It happens when x is equal to 0. So I have -5. And you can see that that's already been put into the equation for you. We just need to fill in the b value. So let's take a look. What am I multiplying -5 by to get -20? I'm multiplying by 4. -20 times 4 is -80, and so on. We have repeated multiplication of 4. So I need to put that into the right spot in my equation. My equation would be f of x equals -5 times 4 to the x. Okay, and remember, you could see function notation, you could see y equals. It doesn't matter, the same rule applies. It's always a b to the x, y-intercept times the multiplier to the exponent. Okay, what if you didn't have your y-intercept in the table? If I didn't know my y-intercept, I would work backwards in the table to get it. So if I was multiplying by 4 in the forward direction, I would divide by 4 in the backwards direction. All right, let's take a look at one more. And again, I'm going to write this down here. A times b to the x, and we have to fill in everything. So first, let's look for the y-intercept. Okay, our y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. So our y-intercept is 650. And you might be thinking to yourself, man, I don't know what I'm multiplying 650 by to get 975. So let's figure it out. If we don't know what we're multiplying by, we can divide. So I'm going to take, to find b, I'm going to take 975 divided by 650. And that'll give me my multiplier. So 975 divided by 650, and that gives me 1.5. So my multiplier is 1.5. And so on. Okay, all we have to do now is fill in the blanks. A goes here, B goes here. So 650 times 1.5 to the x power. All right, short and sweet today, guys, but we're going to practice it for 2 days.